Naruto's path to power, perfect Jinchuriki and unstoppable rise against Konoha's root. Episode 21. Another day passed. Sarutobi glanced at Naruto with a telescope in his office. At this time, Naruto was lying on the bed and sleeping soundly. Ape Flying Sun smiled dumbly. Is it really a child? Did you give up in just one day? Uchiha Shueisue, who was in charge of surveillance next to him, smiled and said, of course, after all, he is only a 3-year-old child, and even Shainen may not be able to follow Metke for daily exercise. Sarutobi nodded in agreement. It seems that his strength really all comes from Gyoshinai, and the day before yesterday he defeated that dark department only because he was too careless. After all, it's a child, 3 minutes of heat, because of Gyoshinai, he suddenly has a large number of 9-tailed chakras, so I think that the physical skills are the same as the 9-tailed chakra. Uchiha bowed and asked, what now? Do you still need to stare at him? Ape Fei waved his hand and said, don't use it for the time being, the mission of Yunin village will arrive today, you first go to the Konoha garrison to maintain security. The nod should be, instantly disappeared into the Hokage's office. And the Ape Flying Sun chop, this is silently spitting out a smoke ring. Everything is ready, only the east wind is owed. Ape Fei Chopper did not believe that this group of militants in Yunin village would honestly sign the treaty. And at this time, the Hyuga clan, a famous clan and a divided clan, are preparing tables and chairs for the ceremony. The establishment of each generation is an extremely important thing. Once the clan is established, then the rest of the Hyuga clan need to engrave the caged bird as long as they reach the age. Today is Hinata's 3rd birthday, and it is also the day she became a clan and Ninji carved the caged bird. Different from previous ceremonies, this time, the Hyuga clan was asked by Hokage to let the ninja clan of Konoha village and the messengers of Yunin village watch the ceremony. It is said that he wants to give the Yunin village a horsepower and let them know the strength of the Hyuga clan, one of the 2 major pupil families of Konoha. It is also to let them know that it is absolutely impossible to obtain white eyes on the battlefield. Therefore, this time the viewing ceremony, the Hyuga family began to prepare early. And in the courtyard of the Zongjia, Ning Ci still didn't know his upcoming destiny. He looked at Hinata, who met for the first time, and his face was full of innocence. Father, is that Princess Hinata? I will definitely be able to protect her in the future. Hinata heard her son's words and immediately clenched her fists. Just a few seconds late, just let his son suffer this unwilling treatment. It was clear that Ninji's talent was much higher than Hinata's, but now he had to be engraved with the spell of a caged bird. Looking at his innocent son, sorrow flashed in Hinata's eyes. He wanted to rebel against this fate, but the spell mark on his forehead made it impossible. Hinata exhaled deeply and sighed. That's right, that's the princess of our Hyuga family, after today. Alas, 4-year-old Ningxi didn't understand why his father sighed. At this time, he just felt that Princess Hinata was really cute, and he must protect her well. At this time, there was a commotion at the gate. Ning Ci turned his head curiously, but I saw a little boy with yellow hair, staggering inside. The surrounding clansmen tried to block it, but they were stopped by Hinata. It was none other than Naruto Uzumaki, who almost became a dead dog yesterday. It stands to reason that today Matke asked him to continue exercising early in the morning, but how could Hinata Ritsuke consume his physical strength for such a big thing? At night, it was the day when the Yunin mission stole Hinata. According to the original plot, Naruto and Hinata's first meeting was at the funeral after Hinata took the initiative to die. Hinata runs out of the clan because of the oppressive atmosphere and meets Naruto, who is hanging out lonely because his home is empty. And this time Naruto didn't plan to hang out on the sly. Naruto, who was able to reveal the identity of the son of the 4th generation, directly chose to run to the ceremony to eat. Hinata Hayashi looked at Naruto with a confused expression. He never expected that the Ape Flying Sun slash would make people run around. The current Hyuga clan doesn't want to have anything to do with the Ape Flying Sun. In the 3rd Ninja World War, the unconditional peace agreement signed by various ninjas, because of the Ape Flying Sun slash has not yet passed. What are you doing here? Hinata Hayashi gave an eviction order to Naruto. You are not welcome here. Although not waiting to see 3 generations, but for his order to alienate Naruto, their group of ninjas did not dare to disobey it in an honest manner. After all, after the 3 battles, the 2nd strongest family in Konoha village is the Sarutobi clan. If you count the Shimura clan, even the Uchiha clan is not willing to collide with them. So although sympathetic to Naruto's experience, but they also wouldn't openly defy Hokage's orders for the sake of so-called sympathy. That's why Hinata's guards told Hinata to stay away from Naruto. However, Naruto didn't care about Hinata's eviction order. He took a step that the 6 relatives did not recognize, found a VIP seat and sat down directly. I'm the son of the 4th generation of Hokage, why can't I come to this kind of hilarious thing? Hinata's pupils shrank, and then a stunned expression appeared on her face. Episode 22. Naruto's identity can be made public casually. Hinata Hayashi, as the head of the clan, naturally sensed that something was wrong. He waved at the clansmen, "Leave him alone and get your stuff ready." "Yes." Immediately, everyone chose to ignore Naruto, each of them in their own right. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "These big families are really as refined as foxes. Originally, I planned to make a big fuss like a few days ago and take the initiative to expose my identity. As a result, Hinata Hayashi chose not to deal with herself." Hinata Ninji asked her father with a puzzled look. "Father, who is he?" Hinata looked at Naruto with a solemn face and said, "Remember, stay away from him in the future." Ning Ci snorted in confusion. Over time, the tables and chairs at the venue were gradually arranged. The members of the Hyuga clan also gathered in the meeting room and stood silently. Until noon, the appearance of Nara Shikahisa, the patriarch of the Nara clan, officially opened the ceremony. The three clans of Pig Deer Butterfly, the Oil Lady clan, and the Shimura clan all appeared at the viewing scene one by one. And with the advent of Uchiha Fugaku and Konoha F4, the venue was already filled with a strange atmosphere. Sarutobi looked at Naruto, who was sitting alone at a table and eating happily, and his face changed. How did this guy appear here? Shouldn't he have slept at home? Tuanzang on the side turned dark. He whispered coldly to the ape-flying son. "What did I say, Hinata? You will regret it. I see that you still handed Naruto to me to deal with. The weapon should have the appearance of a weapon." Sarutobi flying son glared at Tuanzang. "Stay in the mouth. He is the son of 4 generations, and we owe him in Konoha." Tuanzang snorted coldly. "Your indecision will cost you sooner or later." The most brilliant thing about ape-flying son is that he has never taken the initiative to issue any order to directly persecute his teammates on the bright side. Whether it is the Thousand Hands clan, or the Mudun experiment, or the extinction of the Uchiha clan, none of him explicitly ordered persecution. All the orders were all self-made by Tuanzang, and he only acquiesced behind his back. So on the bright side, Sarutobi is still the good old man who only thinks about peace, so he is indecisive. This is also the biggest reason why the various ninja clans did not turn their faces with the ape-flying son, because he really didn't persecute any ninjas. With Tuanzang, the Pot King helped him do everything he wanted to do, and he just waited for the fruits to be harvested. This is why even if Tuanzang has already sent someone to assassinate him, he still chooses to forgive. Sarutobi walked up to Naruto and asked with a smile, "Naruto, why are you here?" Naruto said, "Of course, I heard that a banquet is held here, so I came to eat, but my father died to save the village. What is it for me to come for a meal?" The corner of Ape Fei Ri's mouth twitched twice. "You're here for rice? As long as it's not here to make trouble." Sarutobi smiled at Naruto. "Then you are delicious. If you are not enough, just find someone to ask for it." Immediately, he also left the table and sat down again at the top of the table. And at this moment, several ninjas wearing cloud shields walked in from outside the door. Naruto narrowed his eyes in his heart and asked to the 9 tails, "How about the 9 llamas?" The 9 tails glanced up and said with a disdainful look, "It's just a few pieces of garbage, you can easily take it even without me." Naruto looked at Yunin in surprise. "There are no shinobi among them?" If even Naruto can take it, it means that the people in the mission may not even have a good patience. 9 tails yawned and said, "Not even 1/10 of the amount of chakra in the dark part that you stunned yesterday." Naruto touched his chin when he heard this. It seems that this mission was originally a dead soldier sent by Yunin village, in order to take the initiative to provoke a war with Konoha. After all, Konoha suffered heavy losses on the night of the 9 tails, the death of the 4th generation of Hokage, and the death of a large number of Kami Shinobu in the 9 tails rampage is an indisputable fact. This time, Yunin village was obviously here to test the attitude of Konoha village. After all, let alone knock a ninja, even if a shadow-level powerhouse wants to silently kidnap the Hyuga sect family, it is not so easy. The night of extermination brought the soil back to the Uchiha clan land was once observed by the enchantment of the enchantment class. Several Yunren walked into the venue with arrogant faces. It was clear that the strength was not strong, but they walked out of the momentum of the thunder shadow. Several people swept around. At a glance, I saw Naruto standing out from the crowd at a table alone. The leader with a bandage on his head lit up his eyes and led the team straight to Naruto. Ape Fairy Chop and the others frowned. The patriarchs of the various ninja clans at the scene had different expressions. "Little ghost, what are you? Why can I sit here?" Captain Kumo questioned loudly at Naruto. Naruto raised his head and glanced at him and scolded, "I'm your dad, fuck off, don't bother me." The faces of several Yunin changed. One of them even slapped Naruto directly and arrogantly. Episode 23. The faces of everyone present changed. They could never have imagined that the ninja of Yunin village was so arrogant. Something to do in Konoha's territory. Everyone looked at the ape flying sun in unison. This is human pillar power. Ape Fei re-chopped his face was ugly, and the brainless Yunren sent some garbage to sign a peace agreement. Sure enough, they didn't intend to really stop the war, but to test Konoha's bottom line. Just when the ape flying sun chop was about to order the shot, Naruto's eyes on the table flashed coldly. I saw his little hand suddenly raised, and an azure blue ball instantly emerged from his palm. Nanny! The faces of everyone present changed. Spiral pill? How can it be? Bang! That Yun Shinobu instantly screamed and spun and flew out upside down. The faces of the rest of the Yunin changed drastically. This is obviously just a 3 or 4-year-old brat. How can he learn such a powerful ninjutsu? However, what shocked them even more was the people of Konoha. That's an A-grade Majutsu ninjutsu spiral pill. Now Naruto actually released it? Naruto sneered. What dares to spread wild in our Konoha? When we Konoha no one? I tell you, the 4th generation of Hokage is my father, and the 3rd generation of Hokage is my master. Lao Tzu, you also dare to touch. I see you are getting impatient. Naruto said this. Everyone present looked at the ape flying sun in amazement. Except for his own exposure, everyone really couldn't imagine who would dare to tell Naruto the news. Ape Fei Richo's face was also a little ugly. Spiral pills. Sure enough, Naruto had 4 generations of Hokage's souls in his body. In addition to the 4th generation of Hokage, only Jiraiya can do this A-level ninjutsu. Except that it was given to him by the 4th generation of Hokage, there was no possibility. Where does he know? As a traverser, Orochimaru is basically the only ninjutsu that can be learned by watching anime. As long as you have chakra, you can easily master it by following Jiraiya's step-by-step learning. What's more, the current Naruto has no interference from the 9 tails. With the ninjutsu qualification he inherited from Watergate, he can easily learn this A-level ninjutsu without using water balloons, and leather balls. Before Sarutobi sent the 3-body technique, Naruto had secretly learned the spiral pill. Now these sand sculptures provoke, just exposed his identity himself. Where is there a better place for Sarutobi to acknowledge his identity than the gathering of the entire Konoha high-level gathering? Several Kumo Shinobu looked at Naruto with ugly faces. Immediately, the captain shouted at the ape flying sun. Is this your Konoha's hospitality? We must be given an explanation this time. Ape Fei smiled and snorted. He's still a kid. Captain Yun looked at his severely injured teammate with a dark face. 1 hit to kill the child of Shinobu in 1 hit? If this grows up, won't it be another golden flash? The captain's face was livid and threatening. This matter is not over, you must hand over the murderer, otherwise our Yunin village will start a war with you Konoha. Ape Fei chopped his eyes in confusion. The originally kind expression suddenly became cold. He wanted to use Yun Ninja to knock on the various ninja races, but he was not stupid enough to hand over the human pillar power. Go to war? Do you Yunin village have the guts to go to war with us Konoha? Konoha wasn't the only one who died. Yu Laying is still a little brat. Yun Ren's face changed when he heard this. He didn't seem to expect that this legendary peace-loving and weak Hokage would dare to say such a thing. Where did he know that Naruto was Konoha's 9 tails pillar force? If he had known, he would not have said such 2B words. Yun Shinobu looked at the ninja watching the play in Konoha with a livid face. He waved his hand sharply and turned his head directly. Let's go. Naruto taunted with disdain behind him. Bah, a bunch of cowards. Yunren had exposed bruises on his forehead, clenched his fists, and hurriedly left with the wounded. The originally lively ceremony seems to have changed its taste. Everyone listened to the screams of Ningxi, who carved the caged bird, in their own thoughts. Wait for the ceremony to end. Ape Flying Sun stopped everyone who was about to leave. Then he pretended to call Naruto to the table and said, You probably know, this is Naruto Uzumaki, you may have guessed something listening to his name. That's right, he is the son of Watergate and Jio Shinai, and the hero who saved the village on the night of the 9 tails. Originally worried that the enemy village ninja would take revenge on the heir of Watergate, now Naruto has initially mastered the 9-tailed chakra, so today I am here to announce his identity to you. I hope you can take more care of him in the coming days. I know that everyone has relatives who died at the hands of the 9 tails, but we all know that the power of the human pillar is not equal to the tailed beast. I hope everyone will not look at him in the same light. Many ninjas looked at each other. They wanted to break their heads, and they couldn't understand how the ape flying sun chop suddenly changed. Is this a conscience discovery? Naruto smiled and looked at everyone and waved his hand. I'll take care of it a lot in the future. P.S. It seems that there is no one. Alas, will it be reopened again? Episode 24. End of ceremony. Everyone left with ghosts. Yunren slapped the table in front of him in half with a slap. Too much deception. That little ghost turned out to be the son of the 4th generation of Hokage, no wonder he was so arrogant. Originally, I only planned to do something to the clan of the Hyuga clan, but now it seems that I have to add that little ghost. But Captain, that little ghost's strength is so strong, Kojiro was almost not destroyed by him. A group of Cloud Ninja whispered in the room about what happened today. They were tasked with taking advantage of the agreement to kidnap the Hyuga clan. The crowd did not realize that they had long been abandoned by the village and became a tool to test Konoha. Captain Yunen's face was hideous, and he was actually humiliated by a 3-year-old ghost. Nope. This time must take revenge. The son of bluffing Shuemen is also very valuable in comparison, and it will be a yellow flash in the future, and we must prevent this from happening. Split into 2 groups tonight, one group will go to capture Hinata according to the plan, and the other group will follow me to kidnap that little ghost. Before Kojiro missed just because of carelessness, how strong a 3-year-old child can be, this time I will definitely make a move. Several Yunren looked at each other adoringly and whispered. Until the evening, everyone put on their night clothes and disappeared from the post station with a bang. At the same time, the picture on the crystal ball in the Hokage's office slowly disappeared. Stop the water. Ape Flying Sun said into the air. Naruto-sama. A figure appeared like a ghost, respectfully. You go to protect Naruto, there is no room for loss of human strength. Shuei answered, stood up and disappeared instantly. Ape Flying Sun smacked his pipe and muttered, Tuanzong, now is not the time for you to make a move. That's right, it was not Yunren who sent him to stop the water at all, but his fellow Tuanzong. Naruto's talent was amazing. Even Kakashi, who graduated at the age of 5, was 6-year-old Naka Ninja, and 12-year-old Shinobi, was eclipsed in front of Naruto. You must know that Kakashi's Chidori developed it himself precisely because he could not learn spiral pills. And Naruto was already able to use A-grade ninjutsu spiral pills at the age of 3. You know, the level of ninjutsu means the difficulty of learning. Level A is basically the highest difficulty in learning ninjutsu. Many S-class forbidden techniques further up are classified as S-class because of harsh casting conditions or large side effects. For example, Sasuke's unicorn needs the dragon fire art to create thunderclouds as a precondition. Therefore, Naruto, who had mastered A-grade ninjutsu at this age, was extremely terrifying in terms of talent. Combined with the bloodline of the Upper Vortex clan and the Nine-Tailed Chakra, this is enough to convince anyone that Naruto is no less inferior to the 4th generation of Hokage once he grows up, and even the legendary 3 shinobi. With the character of Tuanzo, if he wanted to become a Hokage, he would definitely try his best to get Naruto. Although he knew that Naruto already had a certain strength, Sarutobi was still worried that Danzo, the 2 cargo brain, would kill Naruto. Because Sarutobi knows Tuanzang very well, he knew that Danzo's original starting point might have been for Konoha, but he would not hesitate to abandon the mission if there was a temptation that would help him become Hokage halfway. It was as if Danzo had met Nagato when he had originally led the roots to prevent the reconciliation between Iwa Shinobu and Konoha. As a result, after seeing the Eye of Reincarnation, Danzo immediately forgot his task and went directly to engage with Hanzo for Nagato. Danzo sent Shisui to protect Naruto, also to prevent Danzo's brain from burning up, and he would rather kill Naruto than let go. Although Naruto has good strength, he can easily be assassinated by ninjas without systematic training. After all, ninjas are different from the pirates next door, and the pirates next door first shout 2 voices when they meet, and come to say hello with thunderous gossip. And ninjas can definitely assassinate without frontal fighting, can poison, and absolutely do not use ninjutsu. Many times the face is directly GG without seeing it. Before Naruto could truly become a ninja, the necessary protection was still necessary. And Sarutobi knocked on the tobacco bag again and took a sip. Even he was thought that the purpose of Yunin village this time was really the Hyuga clan. This time he even saved the guidance. With the character of the Hyuga clan, facing the act of kidnapping the heir of his own clan is definitely a killing. Sarutobi Hinata smiled and looked in the direction of the Hinata clan. It's time to tell them how hard this piece has become. And at this time, a dark cloud hit. The hand over moonlight was shrouded in dark clouds. The late night of Konoha was as silent as death. Naruto, who was refining chakra, suddenly opened his eyes. He smiled crookedly. I put on my coat and walked straight out of the courtyard. Someone watching? Doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about exposing anything at all now. Episode 25. The streets were empty late at night. Naruto seemed to wander the streets aimlessly. However, his position is gradually approaching the land of the Hyuga clan. The water-stopping who was secretly responsible for protection frowned. He didn't know what Naruto was doing when he ran out of the room in the middle of the night. The water stopped and Naruto's orphanhood sighed. Maybe it's because the home is too deserted. Suddenly, Shuei's brow furrowed. He turned to look behind a house to the west. The 2 ninjas were quickly leaping towards Naruto. Who is this? Shursui looked at the two in surprise, coming at Naruto? And Naruto, who was originally wandering leisurely, suddenly raised his head and looked to the west. Huh? Goal changed? Naruto narrowed his eyes and muttered in a low voice. The next second, several kunai shot out of the darkness towards Naruto. 9 llamas. Naruto let out a low sigh, his eyes suddenly turned into scarlet fox pupils, and he had an evil smile on his face. I haven't come out for a long time. The voice that did not belong to Naruto made Shursui's face change in the secret watch. What a strong chakra. And Naruto instantly jumped away to avoid Kuwu. The two Yunin quickly sealed their hands. Thunder and go. A stream of thunder light came out of his hand and radiated towards Naruto's foothold. Taking Naruto Corona away, this is exactly what Yun Shinobu intended. They don't believe that a child can have any combat experience. They are also the best of the elite, and if they lose to a child, they don't have to be ninjas. What they don't know, however, is, the person in front of him who controlled Naruto's body was not himself at all. In his previous life, he was a street-throwing author, and he had a fart combat experience for only 3 years after crossing over. He doesn't even have the dynamic vision to hide. This is a very real problem. Even with the powerful chakra, Naruto simply could not exert the corresponding strength. So Naruto successfully developed the Nine-Tails Dai service through the consciousness communication with the Nine-Tails in these 3 years. It doesn't matter if you don't have combat experience yourself, the Nine-Tails have, although previously most of the time spent wandering in the wild, but no matter how you say it, he has also fought side by side with Madara Yi, and even by instinct, he can easily beat Shinobu. Seeing that the thunder light was about to hit Naruto, stop the water and prepare to save it as soon as possible. The result was an even richer nine-tailed chakra bursting from Naruto's body. The scarlet-tailed beast coat instantly wrapped Naruto. There was a crackling thunder and lightning on the ground, but it did not cause Naruto the slightest damage. At the same time, a tail sticking out from the back of Naruto's but instantly skyrocketed, directly piercing the two Yunin. Not good. Only then did Shueishui come to his senses. Didn't the Nine Tails run away? He brushed directly in front of Naruto. The 9 llamas glanced at the water stop and swept it directly with his tail. Shueishui's face darkened, and he dodged again in an instant. Naruto pursed the corners of his mouth, and the tailed beast chakra on his body disappeared instantly. The moment just now was purely because the Nine Tails saw the Sharingan and remembered the days when he was manipulated, and couldn't help but come for a moment. Seeing that Shueishui's strength was strong and Naruto's current strength could not get any benefit, the Nine Tails directly and intuitively retreated. Looking at the disappearing nine-tailed chakra, he breathed a sigh of relief. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't want to fight against Renzali. In case you provoke the Nine Tails, come again, and the Night of the Nine Tails will be a big sin. After exchanging consciousness, Naruto pretended to be innocent and asked to Shueishui, "Did you also poop because of constipation?" Stop the water from the corner of the eye, jumping wildly. Feeling spread because you eat too much during the day and walk? Shueishui walked in front of the two dead Yunren with a somewhat solemn face. Don't walk around at night, this time is not peaceful. He took off the masks of the two and his face suddenly changed. Isn't this the ninja of the Kumo Shinobi mission during the day? Did they really come for the human pillar force? A crow quickly flew towards the Hokage tower. The messenger died in Konoha, and if one didn't handle it well, it would definitely start a war. And then Naruto said with a smile, "This big brother, when I saw the bad guys just now, I sensed through the demon fox chakra that there were 2 ninjas heading towards the Hyuga clan. Are you sure you don't want to check it out?" When Shueishui heard this, his face changed, instantly disappeared from the place. Naruto looked at the departing Shueishui and sneered twice. Uchiha couldn't understand the deep meaning of Naruto-sama. What he was thinking about at this time was to arrest the other 2 Yunren, so that he could leave evidence to prove that Yunren had made the first move. Naruto looked at the naive Shueishui with a look of disdain. No wonder he was tragically abandoned by the ape flying sun. Even ape Fairy Chopper's true mind could not be figured out. He also dares to expose his other heavenly gods. This is not looking for death. But no one in power will ever allow a monster who can control his thoughts at any time to appear around him. Not even if he is a self-cultivated crony. It's like Tuanzong asked to stop the water at the beginning. What if the Konoha high level disagrees with the Uchiha clan and the village living in harmony? The answer given by stop water is silence to yes. It was obvious that if he hypnotized the Uchiha high level, the village would not be able to accept the Uchiha clan. He was ready to use other gods to change the minds of this group of corrupt high-ranking people. This is no longer a matter of touching the bottom line for conspirators like Tuanzang. It's just tearing the bottom line and stomping on 2 feet. Naruto looked at the departing Shueishui and smiled. This political idiocy deserves to be killed. Immediately, he rushed in the direction where the water stopped leaving by perception. P.S. Find the data. Episode 26. At night, a dark shadow broke into the land of the Hyuga clan. Hinata opened her eyes from the darkness and frowned. Where did the bare-hearted leopard Gaul actually ran to Hinata's house to find trouble? Who doesn't know that the strongest thing in the Hyuga clan is the ability to detect, and the word infiltrating does not exist in the Hyuga clan at all. That Kumo Shinobu ran straight towards Hinata's room. Hinata got up and opened the door directly, and went out in an instant. Yun Shinobu looked at the sleeping Hinata with great joy in his heart. What one of the two major pupil families in Konoha hasn't let himself easily touch it? He stunned Hinata with incense, immediately grabbed Hinata and rushed outside. The goal has been achieved, and the peace agreement and the like are just a piece of waste paper. Their mission was to obtain the blood succession limit of the Hyuga clan, and now that they had obtained it, they naturally chose to leave Konoha directly. However, he didn't have time to rejoice. As soon as he turned over the bow of the boat, he saw Hinata in his dressing gown standing in front of him, looking at him expressionlessly. Nanny! Captain Yunin's face changed. Hinata didn't give him the slightest chance to react. The white eyes instantly opened and pointed directly over. Be merciful. A boom came, but Hinata's speed was too fast, and the captain of the special shinobi level did not even have time to react in front of him, and he was killed by a finger in an instant. The sound of the water stop brush appeared in the present, and his face was a little ugly. At this point, there is no more living mouth except for Yunren, who was injured during the day. Hayashi picked up his daughter and frowned at Shursui. Why is the dark part here? Naruto's voice came laughing at this time. It's to protect me. I ate too much for a walk during the day, but I encountered Yun Shinobu's attack. Hinata was stunned. Yun Shinobu? He immediately pulled off the mask. Sure enough, the appearance of the leader of the mission came into his eyes. Hayashi's face suddenly changed. Being able to become the head of a clan, he naturally knew that Yunin was probably using this incident to start a war with Konoha. Shuei sighed. I originally planned to keep my mouth alive when they said what they planned, but now it seems that it is too late. And Naruto smiled at this time and said, Isn't there another one who is injured? The two looked at Naruto in surprise. Shuei suddenly felt a joy in his heart. Naruto, hurry home. Immediately, he hurriedly turned around and chased towards the Yunin village station. Hinata, who was holding Hinata on the side, looked at Naruto suspiciously. Is it daytime today? This kid deliberately injured Yunren? Not true. How could he possibly know the purpose of Yunin village? Hayashi shook her head and prepared to return to Hinata's house, but Naruto at this time spoke lightly. If I were to you, I would find a way to push out the matter of killing Yun Shinobu. Hayashi jerked back to stare at Naruto. Why? Naruto said slowly. During the day, Yunin village has just signed a peace agreement with Konoha, and the whole of Konoha is immersed in the joy of the complete end of the Ninja World War. Once the tight nerves are relaxed, it is difficult to tense again in a short period of time, which means that Konoha is extremely war-weary now. And at this time, Yunin's mission died in your hands. What do you think the village will do for the sake of so-called peace? Hinata's face changed. Although Yun Shinobu did not intend to conclude a peace treaty in the first place, but the villagers don't know that once the war starts again, then the Hyuga clan will become the target of everyone. The various ninja clans had already suffered heavy losses because of the Ninja World War. Now they will definitely not want to start a war again. When the time comes, if there is really a fight, I am afraid that the ninjas on the front line will all be Hyuga clans. The Hyuga clan is a physical arts family, and in this kind of ninja war, they are mainly responsible for reconnaissance and vigilance. If they really rush to the forefront, they will easily be flown kites if they can't use ninjutsu. Naruto looked at the discolored Hayashi and smiled. It seems that you have figured it out. This is a big pit. Think about how to deal with it. Kumo Shinobu's attack on himself changed Naruto's original intentions. Originally, he planned to kill Kumo Shinobu and save Hinata so that the Hyuga clan owed him favors. But now that he had a better choice, he was naturally ready to send favors when the Hyuga clan needed it most. Hayashi looked at Naruto in shock. That living mouth during the day. Naruto glanced at Hayashi inscrutably. Just so you know. But actually, where would Naruto think so much? He just felt that Yunren was too badly beaten. How could there be someone who pretended to be more forceful than himself? It can only be said that the daytime incident was just an accident, but Naruto naturally won't give up the credit of this brush favorability. Naruto, who had dug a hole in advance, turned and left the Hyuga clan. The next thing is not something that can be solved in a while. What they don't know, however, is, on the other side, several dark parts with masks appeared in front of Yun Shinobu, who was injured and resting. He looked at the dark part in amazement. His face changed greatly. What are you going to do in Konoha? However, the eyes under the dark part did not have the slightest expression. Kill. Episode 27. When the water stops and feels the scene, the dark part has already cleared the scene. The captain of the leader said to the water stop, "It's a step late, the other side has already committed suicide by taking poison." Shueishui looked at Yunren, who had lost his voice, with an ugly face. Big trouble. Sure enough, the next period of time, the Land of Thunder failed because of the plan. He directly used the killing of the ninja of his country as an excuse to say that Konoha violated the alliance treaty, and also put forward many unreasonable conditions, including some ceding land, providing S-class ninjutsu, and handing over the culprit who killed Yunin village. Asking for a price, sitting on the ground to pay back, Konoha and the Land of Thunder have entered a stage of quarrels and fighting. But with the friction at the border, many villagers and ninjas who yearned for peace could not sit still. If this goes to war again, won't he send his family to the battlefield again? You must know that from the beginning of World War I to the end of World War III, Konoha's ninja number went from more than 2,000 to more than 12,000. Konoha's village has a lot more people. Most of them were forcibly conscripted soldiers, and they were barely able to perform the three-body technique and were sent to the battlefield. Countless people died on the battlefield. So even the villagers hated the war. So under the pressure of many public opinions, hand over the culprit who killed Yun Shinobu to the Land of Thunder, and the wind intensified. Tuanzong, who was located at the base of the route, frowned. He asked at the route below, who was spreading anti-war rhetoric. As a hawk in Konoha's upper echelon, he thinks about the whole ninja world together all the time. If it is to exchange the lives of his teammates for victory in the war, he can also accept it. But trading the lives of his teammates for peace was unacceptable to him, because he felt it was meaningless. The root below said half-kneeling, "Sorry Danzo-sama, I haven't found out the source of the remarks, but for now, it's more because the villagers and various ninja clans oppose starting a war." Tuanzong snorted coldly, "I opposed the last agreement with the Yenin Village Thousand Alliance, and now I make this kind of thing. Sure enough, the third generation is old. What happened to the other thing you let you investigate?" Lord Hui, the reason why the identity of the third generation is public is because the owner of the human pillar force body, the previous generation pillar force Jioshinai, and the fourth generation of Hokage's chakra, the soul attached to it, told the nine-tailed man Zhuli his identity. Tuanzang's face was a little ugly. He originally planned to isolate Naruto and plunge him into darkness, and then find Hinata to put the human pillar power on himself to cultivate. As a result, Zhuli actually knew his identity, and he directly said it in public. The fourth generation is originally from the Hokage family, and once Naruto's identity is revealed, even if Sarutobi wants to brainwash Naruto into a weapon, it is impossible. After all the ninjas of the family are watching. If they can't even keep the orphans of their own apprentices, then the fool will choose to stand in line with the ape flying sun to cut a series. Tuanzo tapped his cane. Pay close attention to the human pillar force. If you have the opportunity, directly catch it. Yes. Just when Tuanzong was struggling with the current situation, Sarutobi Hinata found the group of elders of the Hyuga clan. In the dim candlelight, a group of elders sat cross-legged on the tatami mats, with Hinata Hayashi, Hinata, and others. Ape Fei-ri said with a helpless expression, "The Thunder Countryside demanded the surrender of the Hyuga sect who had the blood succession limit, and they said that this was the bottom line." That sad and compassionate expression seemed to be really entangled for peace. Hinata's face was livid. What Naruto said before really happened. Sarutobi intends to hand himself over in exchange for peace. Ape Flying Sun sighed and said, "Now all the ninjas are recuperating, and one by one they are not willing to start a war. After all, it is a long-lost peace." One of the Hyuga elders said with a constipated look, "Isn't there another culprit? Why is it only to pursue us Hyuga family?" Ape Fei-ri slaughtered an infinite contempt for this elder in his heart. "That's human pillar power. Hand over the human pillar force? Turn your head and people will go to war with you and throw you back." The elders of this group of ninja clans were really kicked by donkeys, one by one. Of course, the ape flying sun chop cannot be mocked. He said helplessly, "After all, Naruto is a human pillar power. Once Konoha loses the human pillar power, other villages will definitely attack Konoha mercilessly." Several members of the Hyuga clan turned dark. They also knew it was impossible, but they just wanted to complain that it was only us Hyuga who were injured. Hinata said after a long silence, "There is no way, if I can save the entire village with my life alone." Wait a minute. I disagree. At this time, a childish voice suddenly came from outside the door, which made everyone in the room show a shocked expression. Episode 28. Everyone looked back, but he saw that Naruto was breaking in despite the obstruction. "How much is that?" Sarutobi looked at Naruto with a confused expression. I saw Naruto say loudly, "I've heard about it all, because I killed 2 Yunin, so they are going to war. My father told me that wherever there are leaves, the fire will burn." The light of the fire shines on the village and allows the tree to sprout, and the will of fire will never be extinguished. It only makes sense to gamble with your life to fight, so people will participate in the ninja world war with the dream that this is a goal worth striving for. If you really want to sacrifice, sacrifice me. I am willing to sacrifice myself to light up the village. Everyone present looked at Naruto, who was talking in amazement. Ape Richo was shocked in his heart. It turns out that the 4 generations of Hokage have unconsciously passed on their will to fire? Good. Good. Ape Richo said 2 words in a row excitedly. It is worthy of being the son of the 4th generation. Sarutobi remembered his teacher's teaching when he passed on the position of Hokage to him. He once said, I want to protect and love this village, believe in the villagers, and cultivate people who can be entrusted with the affairs of the next era. Ape Flying Sun was in a trance, and saw 1,000 hands standing in front of him and said in a loud voice, as a protector of the village, I will not back down a single step. For a while, an incomparably ashamed emotion rose from the Ape Flying Sun's heart. What are you doing? He even handed over the people of the village again in exchange for the so-called peace? To be exact, it was to knock these ninjas. I remembered Hinata Hayashi's resolute words just now. The Ape Flying Sun slashed the ghost and made the god raise his tone and shouted angrily, no thanks. No one has to sacrifice. If he wants to fight, we will fight. For a while, the ninjutsu doctor who was on the battlefield seemed to be back. The clansmen of the Hyuga clan present looked confused. Is this the sun hitting the west coming out? Although usually Ape Flying Sun Chop shows extremely close relatives, but the big family knows how Hokage, who is in charge of the assassination force, can be a soft-hearted person. This does not want to be a flying ape on weekdays. And Naruto in the distance excitedly complimented the Ape Flying Sun. Really? Naruto-sama is really powerful, but in his heart, he asked the 9 tails in his body with a solemn expression. How? 9 llamas? Can you untie it? This illusion. The 9 tails inside Naruto's body nodded solemnly. There should be no big problem. This illusion is only a temporary guide to the enemy to follow the direction of the spellcaster, and there is no mandatory change in personality memory. Naruto narrowed his eyes, not happy at this, but a dignified look on his face. Because Naruto knew, this is the right Ibi Tenjin obtained using Danzo. Instead of Uchiha's left eye, which covers all the rebirth of dirt. If the water stop at this time used that other heavenly god that had cooled for more than 10 years, he would use it. Even Naruto didn't know if he could carry it. That's right. The reason why the Ape Flying Sun Chop appears to be anti-water. It was all because Naruto had rebelled against Uchiha, who was in charge of monitoring him. Not to be exact. Instead, he persuades Shuizu to change the joke that Sarutobi tries to hand over his village's teammates in exchange for so-called peace. The original intention of Konoha village was to serve the group to warm up and protect its people from harm. If you hand over a Hinata today, then it is normal to hand over a Uchiha Fugaku tomorrow. Once the determination to fight to the death is lost, there is only one road to destruction that awaits the village. After all, no one wants to follow a regime that will be sacrificed at any moment. Naruto then told all the conjectures about the 3 generations of Kuro in his previous life to stop the water. Combined with some Konoha secrets that Shursui didn't know, Shursui finally decided to trust Naruto once. Use another god to change the decision of Sarutobi Hinata to sacrifice the Hyuga clan. At this time, Ape Flying Sun Chopper did not realize that he had fallen for illusion. He only felt that he had found his former hot-blooded self again. The self who aims to become Hokage. Sarutobi looked at the adoring Naruto and suddenly felt that he had become extremely noble. He said to Naruto and Hinata with his head held high, don't worry, we Konoha will never hand over our companions. Saying that, Ape Flying Sun Chopper directly turned his head and walked towards the outside of the house, leaving the room full of sluggish Hinata at a loss. Only Hinata looked at Naruto suspiciously. Not long ago, he also reminded himself to dump the pot. Now as soon as he appears, Ape Flying Sun immediately changed his original plan. This had to make Hinata Hayashi suspect that it had something to do with Naruto. And Naruto didn't shy away from speaking to Hayashi. Remember, you owe me a life. Several elders of the elder group were immediately furious. What did you say? When did the owner owe you his life? Hinata's pupils shrank, and a trace of horror flashed in her eyes. Sure enough, it's him. He took a deep look at Naruto and spoke. Okay, I remembered. Episode 29. Sarutobi, who returned to Hokage's office, couldn't calm down for a long time. Why did he suddenly get hot? It is clear that it has been successful immediately. After knocking on the Hyuga family, it can definitely play a good role in killing chickens and monkeys. Ape Flying Sun Chopper is a shadow-level powerhouse after all, and his resistance is much stronger than that of Mifune, who is also manipulated. At this time, he had vaguely sensed that something was wrong. but he never thought about illusion. After all, the kaleidoscope riding wheel one person one ability. So far, there is no record of the other gods. The unthinkable Sarutobi finally blamed it on Naruto's bloody remarks, which resonated with him. After all, those words were all brainwashed by themselves to 4 generations. Now that the words have been spoken, as a Hokage, it is naturally difficult to change his words. It seems that the plan to kill the chickens and monkeys will continue to be delayed. However, what made Sarutobi happy was the brainwashing effect of his own apprentice on Naruto, which was barbaric. Without having to end it yourself, the will of fire burned incomparably hot. And at this very moment, Tuanzo led 2 advisors to push the door in. Rechop, I don't allow you to show weakness to Yunin village. Ape Fei raised his eyebrows. At least it was not without a little benefit, and it somewhat saved the rhetoric of fooling these 3 old guys. Whoever said that I was going to show weakness, they want to fight, then fight. Tuanzong? On the other side, Naruto was sitting on the ground and grilling fish in a dense forest with the water that was in charge of monitoring him. Is that all right? Shisui frowned at Naruto and asked, is this really what the 4th generation Hokage means? Naruto gulped down the fish and comforted, this is still false, my father personally said in my body, how can Konoha give his companion a reason? Haven't you messed around with my father, don't you know what his personality is? What a stupid decision for 3 generations to be old and want to trade the lives of their companions for so-called peace. You must know that Konoha village was originally established to protect the safety of its companions. It is a shame for us to achieve peace at the expense of our companions. The righteous and stern Naruto let Shisui breathe a sigh of relief. Before casting the other gods, it was Naruto's order under the pretext that it was the water gate in his body that finally convinced the water to stop. After all, a 3-year-old, no matter how convincing what he said, he would definitely not be able to make Shisui betray the Hokage. But if it was another Hokage, it was a different story. Not to mention the 4th generation after the 3rd generation. Naruto smiled and comforted Shisui, Yunin village will definitely not dare to call, don't underestimate that group of reckless men. Compared to Yunin village, Wuin village may have moves in the near future. In retaliation for Rin, Obito increased the implementation of the blood mist policy through the water shadow controlled by Uchiha with the Sharingan. And gave up the natural advantage of looking at each other across the sea, and sent people to fight everywhere all day. Normally, the water stop at this time should have guarded against this group of madmen in the stronghold, but now he was called back for his own reasons. Although Yunin village clamored for this to go to war, but in fact, Konoha gave a corpse without white eyes, and they eventually took advantage and withdrew. If he really wanted to fight Konoha, Yunin could use not the murderer himself to forcibly start a war with Konoha. In fact, Yunin immediately stopped after taking advantage of a little. Letting go of his heart, he finally picked up the grilled fish and ate it with Naruto. Time passed little by little. It was exactly as Naruto said. Originally, it was for the sake of white eyes, but as a result, a group of ninjas all died in Konoha. Originally, Laying took a fancy to the weakness of the 3 generations of Hokage. As a result, who would have thought that Konoha would be so tough this time? Teams of ninjas were sent to the border. After all, the Land of Thunder and the Land of Fire are not adjacent to each other, and there are 2 small countries separated in between. Crossing the supply line to attack Konoha was obviously a lot of losses, not to mention that Konoha is still the #1 power in the ninja world. In the end, Konoha and Yunin still made a treaty of alliance, although everyone knows that this thing is actually just a fig leaf. It's like waste paper when it's really started. However, the signing of this treaty meant that the Ninja World War officially ended the 2 shinobi wars that spanned 17 years from World War II. And Naruto also changed from the original 9-tailed demon fox to the identity of the son of the 4th generation of Hokage. Although many stupid villagers still had a disgusted attitude towards Naruto, but no shop dared to refuse Naruto's consumption in a bright and honest way. And Naruto also began his first retreat cultivation since crossing over. Every morning in Konoha village, 2 freaks dressed in tights and shouting slogans run circles around Konoha village. Time passes little by little in cultivation. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, Naruto had the help of the Hyuga clan. Financially, there is no need to worry about your own consumption at all. Every day, Kai's secret recipe will be prepared with medicinal soup, and after exercise, the dark wounds of the body will be eliminated through the medicated bath. Although the 9-tailed chakra also has healing properties, it erodes the life force of the body's depleted cells. To put it bluntly, it is kryptonite. If it were not necessary, Naruto would naturally not casually use the 9-tailed chakra to restore his body. Although Naruto was only 6 years old at this time, but his height is already more than 1 meter and 4 meters. It's about the same height as when I graduated from ninja school at the age of 12. Under the dual effect of adequate nutrition and expensive medicinal baths, his body develops much faster than in the plot. At this time, on a cliff outside the village, Naruto and Matkai fought on the cliff. Kakashi fell into the darkness for several years as a member of the Dark Ministry. Naruto successfully succeeded him as a sparring partner for Matkai. Third door. Raw door. Open. Episode 30. Green chakra emerged from Matkai, his speed soared, and he suddenly soared towards Naruto. And Naruto was not to be outdone. The red nine-tailed chakra instantly covered the whole body. The two burst into drink at the same time. Li Lianhua. The blurred figure instantly exploded above the cliff. The terrifying chakra collision caused a large pit to burst on the cliff wall in an instant. Two figures fell from the cliff in two directions. Finally, it fell to the ground under a rain of rubble. Let's get here today. Naruto, who fell to the ground, stretched, and there was a crackling sound on his body. Naruto, who had the tailed beast chakra's coat, was spotless, and compared to the somewhat embarrassed Meki, the two sides stood tall. Kai looked at Naruto like a monster. You guy, even if you don't use the 8-gate Dunjia, you can use Li Lianhua. You must know that the 8-door Dunjia is to open the limiter and increase the upper limit of casting. Naruto was able to perform the same moves as Kai at this time, even if he did not use the 8-gate Dun armor. What Matkai didn't know was that Naruto was not only able to cast Rarenka. In Naruto's opinion, the 8 gates Dunjia is actually the Realm King Fist of the Dragon Ball world. Both are based on their own bodies to multiply their strength. Excessive use will consume a lot of chi or physical strength. And Naruto is a human pillar power and vortex bloodline, and originally has a huge chakra. His casting ceiling is much stronger than that of Meki, coupled with the fact that in the past 6 years, the Nine Tails have constantly assimilated their own chakra into Naruto's chakra during the lock-picking process. At this time, Naruto chakra still reached the terrifying 100-calorie Shiton pull when Naruto graduated in the plot. You know, this is a 100 card that does not need to suppress the nine-tailed chakra. If you add the nine-tailed chakra, at this time, Naruto can use as many as 200 calories of chakra. Combined with the physical skills that have been exercised in recent years, even if he didn't open the 8 doors Dun armor, Naruto could still use the same physical skills as Matkai. Even the move Naruto before the Day Tiger can be easily used through the nine-tailed chakra. Even if Matkai has 10 cards of chakra after opening the 8-door Dunjia, it is also not enough for Naruto's 200 cards. The two have essential differences in basic attributes. So it's like Epilianua, Lilianhua, and Peacock. Even if he doesn't open the 8-door Dunjia, Naruto can easily release it with his own chakra. And through the discussion in the past few years, Naruto successfully trained from a combatless otaku before crossing into a tough ninja. Since a year ago, Matkai was no longer Naruto's opponent. After all, this world, chakra is the foundation of all strength. Once Naruto mastered the Panchatonla in his body, he could quickly grow into an incomparably terrifying existence. At this time, Naruto was already able to open the 4-tailed chakra mode without injury, and if he really ignored the body explosion like when he fought against Orochimaru, it would not be a big problem to open the 6-tailed. It's about the same as beating the yaoi who beat Tendo Pain. You must know that there are still 10 years before Pain attacked the village. Such a long time was enough for himself to completely open the Bagua seal and complete the cultivation of the perfect human pillar force. However, Naruto was in a little trouble at this time. That's when he's going to school. 6-year-old Naruto had reached the age of a ninja colonel. Originally, 3 years ago, Sarutobi was going to send Naruto, who controlled the 9-tailed chakra, to the ninja school. However, it was strongly opposed by Naruto. Most of the knowledge of the ninja school is aimed at the lower ninja, and the content taught is mostly the detection and production of traps, the types of enchantments, and the ninjutsu corresponding to the handprints of the opponents. These are definitely life-saving knowledge on the battlefield for chakra-scarce shinobi. But there is no doubt about it, for Naruto, this person is simply dispensable. Even Orochimaru was seriously injured by a detonation charm when he defected, and if he changed to Naruto, he could easily heal the injury with the 9-tailed chakra. In short, in a word, in the face of absolute power, any trickery is useless. Instead of going to school to learn that bullshit theory, it is better to spend more time practicing physical skills with Matkai. Ninja school is a pure waste of time for him. But seeing Naruto's will of fire, the ape flying sun slash naturally wanted to let Naruto be alone for his use as soon as possible. Naruto, who has not been brainwashed by the ninja school system, is not at ease when he uses it. So Sarutobi Hinata plans to send Naruto to the ninja school to brainwash as soon as possible. But how could Naruto, who was bent on improving his strength, get what he wanted? So he thought he was too young to go to school, so he had to delay it until now. And this year Naruto is already 6 years old. Obviously, there is no way to delay any longer by age. In the past 3 years, Sarutobi finally succeeded in subduing various families in the ninja world with his political means. That is, this year, Inuga Butterfly, Inazuka, Oil Girl, Hinata, and even Uchiha all agreed to send the family's lineage to the ninja school to cultivate. You must know that the ninja clan has its own cultivation system. Refining things like chakra, three-body techniques, and the like was learned at a very young age, and the upper ninja school was a complete waste of time for them. Their attendance at the ninja school is completely a sign that the ninja have chosen to stand in line for 3 generations. The knowledge taught in ninja schools is completely dispensable. So it was only when Naruto was a child that the truant foursome appeared. And at this time, Naruto was living comfortably in Konoha, although he has the strength to defect from Konoha at any time, but naturally, he will not eat enough and run to be chased and killed as a traitor. So at this time, he had to go to the ninja school to take a walk to deal with the ape flying sun. Makai looked at Naruto, who was about to leave, and grinned. You don't think I forgot that today is your admission day? Come on. There is nothing to give you for the master, this tights that I found someone to sew personally will give you. I also wore it to the entrance test, Naruto. I won't wear it when I die.